What up, y'all? It's DJ Envy.
And I am Gia Casey.
And this is another edition of the KC Crew.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome, guys. Now, we are a little late, and the reason being is I was doing a little traveling. I was in Detroit early this week. Shout out to everybody in the D. We are actually, I didn't even tell you, babe, we're actually trying to put together a live show in Detroit. What
kind of live show?
Podcast. Me and you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Rashawn, something's got to change.
I'm telling you now.
You have to do better.
I'm telling you as I tell the people.
No, seriously. I can't be finding out about my life with the rest of the world.
Well, let me tell you what I'm telling with the rest of the world. Shout out to Detroit. I do a party. They call it a residency. I guess you could say a residency. It's once a month. I believe it's the last Tuesday in every month at a club. It's called R&B Tuesdays. You would love it. If you can make it, you probably would love to go to the next one. It's I would say 90% R&B music the whole night. And it is dope, like a dope vibe, dope everything. It's like I said, it's in Detroit. So we were thinking maybe do a podcast earlier in the evening, maybe like 5 to 7, dinner, and then right to the club or something like that, or 5 to 7, and people could go home, take a shower, and then the night starts off. It was amazing. So shout out to everybody in Detroit. I was there last Tuesday, and by the time I got back, we had to run. We're in North Carolina actually right now in bed.
You're in bed. What time is it?
It's
9:28 in the morning
a.m.
on Saturday.
Yeah, so we decided, we brought the equipment with us, and we said we're going to do the podcast. Even if we're a little late, we're going to try to get this bitch out.
But you were also in Atlantic City.
Yeah, I was in Atlantic City as well, looking at properties.
Because we could have done it early. It's not just because you were in Detroit. We didn't do it Monday. We didn't do it Tuesday because you were away.
Yeah,
we didn't do it Wednesday. You were away all those days.
And then Thursday when I got back, I had to run to Atlantic City. So I've been running. I've been running crazy.
So okay, I'm not going to hold you to this one.
Right.
This is the first late podcast of the new year.
Absolutely. And and what people don't understand is Gia and I have the type of personality when we do something or when we're into something, we overdo it. So like if Gia gets into, I'll just say like a bag or something like that, she will Google a bag. She will look it up on Purse Bop. She will look it up on the internet, the back net, the front net, the side net. She'll be outside your house. That's what we're into. If Gia's into, if it's a kid's birthday party and she wants to plan a certain theme, Gia will be on every way possible for like 30 days straight. And I'm the same way when it comes to something I'm interested in, and now it's real estate.
Yeah, we're definitely overdoers.
I'll go over and beyond.
Oop, that's my wake up, my 9:30 wake up.
Turn
it off. Go ahead.
We'll go over and beyond for that. And that's how I am with the real estate. Like I know Gia's about to go.
You are a little overdoing it.
I love it though. It's not only do I love it, it's the fact that we're creating something for our kids.
Yes.
And that makes me feel amazing because, I look at all these rich people and wealthy people, and they leave stuff for their family, leave stuff for their kids. And not just, when I die, you got my house, or when I die, you got this, whatever my life insurance policy is. A lot of people really create this wealth so that their kids are great. And that's what I'm getting at. And that's why I'm pushing real estate for so many different people. And I want people to know that real estate, people always get nervous about real estate. And I know this is not the real estate podcast or even real estate, but I just want people to know that you can make a lot of money in real estate just as long as you buy under market value, way under market value. If you buy it for market value, you can get hurt. But if you find a property that's on auction.com, hubzoo.com, and some of those sites that you can get a property for way under. And sometimes people say, well, if it's way under, it's beat up. That's not necessarily the case. We found properties that really only needed a little paint. Really only needed a little buffing of the floors. And this was so far under market value that we did great with. So just keep your ears open. If there's a seminar that comes around your area, definitely check it out. I always tell people, buy a book, Google online. There's so many free things if you can't afford it.
Just educate yourself.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to real estate, and it seems so far removed from most people's lives and what seems realistic to them. And I think a lot of it is a lack of experience, a lack of education on that topic. And again, people are just scared. It's scared. Like when it comes to investing your hard earned money,
right,
and, putting for, some older people, your nest egg into one venture, correct, and hoping that goes well and hoping that it is profitable and it does what you want it to do, that's daunting.
Right.
That's daunting. And I understand people that can afford it or maybe do have a little bit of savings or are able to work towards it. I understand their reluctance to do so. So I think that it starts with people, just like you said, you start by Googling about it.
Right.
You go to the websites, you do your research, you see what it takes, you
Absolutely.
see how to get a loan, and maybe that'll increase your comfortability and open your minds a little bit more to it. Because, for our community, for a lot of us, it just seems as though it's not really within our grasp.
Correct.
So I do want to say I'm proud of you
Thank you.
not just what you're doing for our family, but for encouraging people to chase that same dream.
Absolutely.
Because,
thank you.
yes, because we talk amongst ourselves and you really do want to strengthen the community. You really do want people to go out there and get that information. And I know that you're big on, Black people owning and being their own bosses and working for themselves and not always, but, in some circumstances working for other people, but, just creating that strength in our own communities.
Right.
And that really is important. And I know personally that that's important to you and that's
Absolutely.
a passion of yours. And that's just something that, you always talk about. Like you want us to have a stronger presence. So I'm really glad that you're out there really trying to encourage people to do what you're doing and realizing, like, listen, you don't have to be rich to do this.
Right.
You can get a loan. You can really make this happen if you're about your business, if you're ambitious, if you're responsible, if you're determined, like you can really make this happen. So, I look at you and I'm like, wow, in my own private thoughts, I haven't really said this to you, but you're an uplifting person.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of you for that.
Well, thank you very much, baby.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that compliment.
I love you.
I want to do the podcast a little different, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
First, I want to talk about something that me and you talk about that a lot of people don't, and a lot of people don't do it. And I just want to put it out there, right? So
Hold on, are we doing our emails?
No.
Not now, but you're not Xing the emails from the podcast,
we're
right?
We're going to do the email second. I'll explain.
Because you just said you're going to remix it. I just want to make sure we get to our emails.
We'll still do the emails. If you listen to the podcast, or if this is the first time you're listening, Gia and I, we have 5 kids. We have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 5, a 4, and a 2. And we talk about spoiling our kids a lot. And people, sometimes they say, well,
we don't spoil our kids. I don't even like that word.
Well, I would say
some
spoil.
people, no, we don't. Well, we're going to have that conversation
What
now.
What do you consider spoil? I consider spoil where I would say giving the kids things outside of their quote unquote needs, I consider as spoiling to me.
Okay, well, that's the wrong word. And that is the definition of a misconception.
Okay.
And people throw words around and they do it because it's used generally and it's not accurate. I don't like spoiled kids.
So, all right. So
when I see spoiled kids and they behave in a spoiled manner, it's a turn off.
So what's the definition?
Our kids are not spoiled. Think about the word spoiled. The word spoiled means that something is ruined.
Okay.
So the idea of spoiling a kid means that you give them so much that their perception of the world is ruined.
So what word would you use?
They take things for granted. They aren't appreciative and they behave entitled and ungrateful.
So what word would you use?
And our kids are the opposite of that. We give our children what they deserve. So that's the actual opposite of spoiled. Like, for instance, you take Logan, for example. I was out to lunch with a friend. She's a new friend. We just, it was our first lunch together and our boys go to school together. And she said, it was so nice. Logan slept over the house and he was so mannerable and so respectful, as her son was when he came to our house.
Okay.
She said, I walked into the room in the morning and he woke up and was like, good morning, Mrs. So-and-so, how are you? And she said, when other boys sleep over, it's just like, hey. And that's how they speak to adults. Logan is very respectful. And we were talking and I said, it's funny because Logan's father, I said, he's a sneaker person and he'll buy as many sneakers as he can afford because that's just your thing. That's something that you like. You've always been into sneakers.
Used to.
What do you mean used to?
I don't really do sneakers like that.
What, as of 3.5 weeks ago? Stop it. Okay. So,
yes.
So I said, when Rashawn goes shopping for sneakers, he'll buy for himself, he'll buy for me, he'll buy for the kids. I said, but Logan, even though his father is like that, he's not into it. He can have a new pair of sneakers as often as he likes because that's, what his father is. I said, but Logan's the type of kid, you can give him a pair of sneakers in September when school starts. And if you let him have his way, he'll wear that same pair of sneakers throughout the entire year.
Correct.
And never even ask for another pair. Logan is having a little bit of a growth spurt and he'll start to outgrow his pants. And not even say, hey, Mom, I need new pants. I'll look at him and be like, you don't think that, those pants are turning into high waters? You thought it was okay to walk out the house like that? Go back upstairs and change, put on a new pair of pants. And Logan's mentality is, I don't care. Nobody cares. Who cares?
No, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's not into things. When you were 15, when I was 15, we were together. We were into our clothes and into this and, into we wanted to be popping. You know what I mean? Logan? No. And he has more of an ability to be that than we ever did.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he's the exact opposite. He's like my brother. My brother didn't care about that stuff. You know, my father was a simple person and that's how my brother was. And Logan reminds me of my father and my brother, just simple. And you and I were the opposite.
Right.
So he's not spoiled. Madison is just now starting to like things, and I think that's because she looks at me and she's trying to emulate me. But for years, all she wanted was a hoodie and leggings and some kicks. And that's it. I would try to say, well, Maddie, do you want this? Or, I think that you would look nice in this. Or do you want to change your style a little bit? No, I'm good. I just want to be comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
We give her things. She doesn't really ask for things. So no. And she's respectful. She behaves. She listens. She never gets out of pocket. She never talks to me sideways. Our kids are not spoiled. So don't use that word.
Okay. So let me rephrase that since I just got told off for 4 minutes.
Just because you're able to provide for your children doesn't mean that you spoil them. Now, there are people that are able to provide and will give their children whatever the kids want, and the kids will whine, they'll beg, they'll plead, they'll kick and stomp, they'll throw tantrums, they'll do things, and the parents will succumb to it because they don't know how to parent their way out of that behavior. Right. And maybe some children are just that way, and it may be hard to get them out of that behavior, and some parents just don't know how to deal. They give them whatever, or maybe that's just how they parent. Right. And it really can spoil a child. But ever since ours were little, I've always made it our business that they don't get anything that they don't deserve. If they act up, if they misbehave, if they talk back, if they're disrespectful, you get nothing. Right. You suffer. You go to school with those high waters and mommy won't care. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the reason I just got told off, guys, by the way, I don't know if you know that I was telling off, but I got told off. But the reason I'm saying that is because we give our kids a lot. We give our kids pretty much whatever they want and more. And the reason is Gia and I was talking. I want to see our kids enjoy the fruits of our labor. A lot of people don't. A lot of people say, no, I'm going to hold it. And when I die, I want to pass it on. And that's cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's cool. But Gia and I don't look at it like that. No. The reason we do a lot of the things and people will consider it over and beyond and past anything and too much. The reason that we do quote unquote too much is because I want to see it. I don't want to see it from heaven. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to God. I don't want to see it from heaven. No, I don't want to see it. No disrespect. I don't want to hear it from my deathbed. I don't want to be in the hospital and be like, okay, no. I want to see Madison enjoy the fruits of our labor. I work fucking hard. We both do shit that sometimes we work hard and we miss some of those special moments sometimes because we do provide and we try to make sure that our kids will be fine and that our kids' will be fine and they don't have to worry about paying for college or paying for high school or paying for this or paying for that, things that we had to pay for. And that's not a problem. We work hard. So the reason I'm saying that is because if you have kids out there, maybe it's a way that you can think. Because think about it. You bust your ass every day, whether you work a 9 to 5 or you work a 9 to 9. Because some of y'all I know are like me, that your job doesn't stop at 5. You continue to work. And some of you guys out there like me and Gia have more than one job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, and still have to take care of those kids and cook and clean and all that other shit. So for myself, I want to see my kids enjoy it. I want to see, a couple of months ago, my son wanted a computer, right? A gaming computer. That's what they call it, a gaming computer, right? Now I'm saying that's what they call it because I thought the
Xbox,
the little boy was a game, the little Xbox was a gaming computer. He says, no, Dad, that's not what the real players use. The real players use this. Okay, I'm a little confused. I'm like, ain't no damn joystick.
And especially for him, like he doesn't ask for anything.
No, he doesn't ask for anything.
Like his birthday is 3 days after Christmas. And we asked him what he wanted for his birthday. And he's like, yeah, I really don't want anything.
I'm the one that told him a gaming computer.
Yeah, well, he just mentioned it at one point. Right. And then when we had this conversation about what he wanted for Christmas and his birthday, you did say, well, you mentioned something about a gaming computer some time ago. Do you want that?
Right.
And and that's why I guess I got a little in my feelings when you just used the word spoiled. Like, think about the conversations we had around Christmas time.
Right.
He was like, yeah, but I don't think that I really need one. They're expensive and I don't want you to spend the money and it's not really worth it. And it's similar to an Xbox. I mean, people rave about it, but I really just don't want to waste your money. And I said, okay, well, what else are you even thinking about? He said, truthfully, Mom, there's nothing I want for Christmas.
Right.
Like I go to a private school now and I wear a uniform, so there's no need to buy me clothes. I wear the same thing every day. In September, you already bought me my shoes and my book bags for the school year, so there's really nothing to get me. So why don't you just spend the money on my siblings?
Right.
That's exactly what he said. I said, Logan, you realize that means that you'll wake up Christmas morning and everybody will be opening up presents and you'll be opening up nothing. He's like, that's okay. Just as long as we're together, enjoying each other on Christmas. That's it. I really don't want anything. I don't want to tell you to get me anything and it just goes to waste or I outgrow it. Like that makes me feel like, God, I want to give this kid the world.
Right.
I don't know what to give him, but I want to give him the world.
Absolutely. And I feel the same way.
So he wanted the computer. Go ahead.
So I said, okay, let's go take a look at this computer. Now, mind you, no disrespect, I'm not into computers like that. I'm me. I buy my Apple laptop. Gia has an Apple laptop. Madison has an Apple laptop. That's all I know. Apple laptops go anywhere from $1,300 to $2,200, depending on how fast it is in the RAM. So I'm expecting computer maybe $1,000 for the computer. He gonna need a screen, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking. A monitor.
Yeah.
I said screen, right? Uh-huh. So I walk in. So now I
didn't go with them because I didn't want to be any part of this process.
Right. So now, if you know me, and this is hard to say. When it comes to most things, I'm cheap, right?
Yes, you are.
I'm cheap. When it comes to my cars, I'm not cheap.
When it comes to certain things, I think
everything
both
else
of us,
I'm cheap.
I think you're cheap. I'm frugal.
Okay.
You can be cheap, meaning sometimes you'll hold the money tight in situations that are unreasonable, situations that don't make sense.
I know.
And it's like, why would you be cheap in this situation?
I know.
I'm frugal. I'm very mindful about money and I'm not a wasteful person.
Right.
I won't waste $2. If I'm spending $2, it's $2 well spent.
Absolutely.
And if I lose $2 irresponsibly or if it just goes to waste, that $2 weighs on my mind.
I know. I know.
So I'm frugal, but we both will spend when we and where we see fit. Mm-hmm. But we're both very mindful about finances, etc. As I think everybody should be. Like, I don't waste food. If I order food, I'm going to damn well eat it.
Yes.
And if I can't eat it in that sitting,
she's going to take it home.
I'm going to take it home and I'm going to eat it for breakfast the next day.
Absolutely.
I just
You don't understand. It doesn't matter what type of food. It could be McDonald's or it could be, lobster.
I haven't had McDonald's in a very long time. Just saying.
I'm just saying, but if it is fast food,
I'm not wasting my meal that cost me $5.99. I'm not, because I have too much respect for what it takes to earn money in this world.
I know, and I get it, and I appreciate that.
I don't believe in wasting it.
I appreciate that, and I respect that.
But go ahead.
Now back to, so the first thing I do is, if I don't know much about situation, I ask. So I asked a bunch of people they're talking in terms I really don't know. So I do the second best thing. I put it on social media, on my Instagram. Hey, does anybody know about fucking gaming computers? And that made it even more worse. Like, people would just, oh yeah, you need this and that, and I was like, what the fuck is this or that?
So then it became overwhelming.
So then, shout to CC Sabathia, plays for the New York Yankees. So he seen my post and he hit me, dog, just go to Micro Center. And I was like, what the fuck is Micro Center? And he sent me the address. So I go to Micro Center, and the funny thing about Micro Center is literally like 2 blocks from the office, the real estate office. And I have never seen it in my life. I pass by it all the time, and I've never even looked over there.
Okay.
So I take Logan over there, and we start looking at computers, and first of all, they break everything down. Like, kind of like when you buy a car, right? So let's say you buy a car, you buy a car, and then they say, all right, if you want windows, it's going to cost you an extra $20. If you want tires, it's going to cost you extra $30.
Right.
If you want headlights,
so everything
$50.
was like an add-on.
Everything was a freaking add-on. So when it came to the price, it
was more than you expected.
Way fucking more, right?
Okay.
So I was thinking, I was like, is there a cheaper? This is actually what I said.
Shame on you.
I know. I said, is there a cheaper version?
The kid mentions one thing, and there you go, trying to.
But the guy was
Shame
like,
on you.
The guy was like, yeah, it's a cheaper version. It'll just, if he wants to play Fortnite, he'll have to finish the game in a week. It'll take that long to finish the game. So I thought about what you said.
Which was?
Like, we work hard. We should enjoy watching what the kids, what we're able to provide for the kids.
Well, I got that from my mother. My mother always said, in her words, I'm not going to wait till I'm dead and gone to give you what I worked my whole life to provide or to leave you.
Right.
I want to see it while I'm here.
Right.
So I don't know if you remember, we're married. We have 2 kids. I'm a grown woman in my 20s, and my mother would still try to take me shopping.
I loved it.
All right, Gia, why don't we go buy watches today?
And I loved it.
Because that was stuff that you didn't have to buy me.
I loved it.
But yeah, my mom, she's like, and I'm like, Mom, I'm grown. Like, I can afford my own watch or my own whatever. And she's like, when I'm gone, I'm going to leave you this money, then you're going to spend it. I want to see you enjoy it.
I love that.
I want to see you wear it. I want to see you, live in a situation where you're using things that I can provide for you. She's like, when I'm gone, it's as though it never happened.
Right.
She's like, if I give it to you and you want to, put it to the side, or if I give you money and you want to put it to the side, that's up to you. But I want you to experience it while I'm alive to watch it happen.
Right.
And I said, okay, all right. I mean, I get that.
And that stuck with me. So I went back and I bought the most expensive computer. Well, not the most expensive computer, the computer that they laid out with everything, with the extra screen and the camera so he can be on Twitch and all this other shit. And when we got home, we both put it together.
That night.
Together. We did it together for hours, which was like a bonding moment. We was fucking shit up. Because we had to get a desk. We put the desk together backwards. The desk was slanting, all that type of shit. But it was just good to see him enjoy it, because every night he takes a little bit of time out and he plays his games and he loves it, and he's screaming all over the house because he has headphones on and he can't hear. And just to say that is the way that Gia and I do things with our kids. And I just wanted to tell you guys, because that might be something that you may think of when you have kids, or if you do have kids, that I don't want to die and I'm enjoying it and I'm looking at them in heaven. I want to be there and touch them and see them smile, see them joke, see them laugh, see them be appreciative, see them being thankful and grateful.
But there is something to be said for leaving something after you go, because you also do want to, you don't want to just, give them everything while you're still here, because you do want to set your kids up for their future.
Correct.
And leave them a lump sum so that they can carry on and maybe they can invest or they can pursue a dream or whatever. But for people that just hold everything tight, I guess maybe what you're trying to say is consider giving them something now, or being able to witness them enjoy it.
Small things. It could be small.
Yeah,
it could be a bike. It could be a video game that you was like, well, no. I mean, some people really are just all about saving. And while that is extremely important, I think that a little bit of spending, if you can afford to do so, is a good idea as well. I don't even know how we got there, but that was just on my mind.
I think that was just on your mind. I don't think we got there. I think it was just on your mind.
Well, let's get to the email of the week.
Hold on, the email. What about what we were going to talk about?
Well, we're going to talk about that after the email. Because
why are we going to talk about that after the email?
Just fall back, relax, and let me explain. Because it's all about family and kids. So this is about the kid. And the next thing...
That's not about family and kids, what we were going to talk about.
Are you listening to me? I said this email is about to be...
okay.
So I don't want to go off topic to come back off. So we're going to stay in the same vein.
Okay, well, we were having a conversation right before we cracked the mics, and maybe 30% through the conversation, Rashawn said, you know what, let's just finish this conversation on the podcast.
Right.
I was like, it's going to take you time to get the equipment because you have to go down to the car and get all the podcast stuff from the valet and then bring everything up. I was like, we're in the middle of the conversation. Let's finish it now. He's like, no. Let's just finish it on the podcast.
We're going to get to that conversation.
I didn't say we weren't.
That's why I said
I'm just mentioning because I don't want to mention, people have no idea what we're talking about. So I'm just prefacing. Thanks.
That's why I said this podcast is going to be a little different. It's going to be a little all over the place, but people will understand.
Okay.
So let's get to the email first, because the email is about a lady's son. So I was like, since we're talking about our family, we'll do that. And then we'll go to the rubber tug. All right.
As you wish.
Rub and tug, I meant. All right. Now, she says I should.
The rub and tug?
That's after this.
What's a rub and tug? I've never heard that.
Rub and tug.
They can't see you, but I got what you meant by the gesture.
They
awesome.
knew what I meant.
Okay, great. I've never heard that. Go ahead.
All right. I should have been stronger. Dear Envy and Gia, I first would like to say both are awesome and I enjoy the podcast.
Thank you.
To give you a very short backstory, I'm a single mother of an energetic, playful, and talented 6-year-old boy. I am also currently under the stress of paying for an upcoming wedding in April. Everyone has the same descriptive word of my son, which is happy. Now, he attends a predominantly white elementary school. He is in the first grade and the youngest in the class. Yesterday, I was giving him compliments. He said some things that completely broke my heart. My 6-year-old handsome black boy told me that he has no friends, saying all the kids hate me because I'm black and skinny. Following that, he said he's been told by the kids that all bad guys are black and his skin looks like poop. He literally started to cry in my arms, which made me cry. I did start to lift him up right away. Is there any advice you have going forward? Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you in advance. Now, the reason I wanted to do this one is because we all have kids, and going to school, regardless of color, regardless of size, is always difficult. I was always the skinny kid. Skinny kid with glasses and braces, and I really didn't think I was that attractive as a kid growing up. I just didn't. But I had confidence. And the reason I had confidence is because my mom, my pops, and my family, not even just my mom and pops, my family, my Aunt V, my Aunt Carolyn, my grandmother, always instilled how strong we needed to be and how good we were. They always came with compliments. Rashawn, you're so smart. Rashawn, you're so handsome. Rashawn, you're so this and you're so that. My Aunt V always called me Khalil. Khalil, that's my middle name. Khalil, you're so this, you're so that. And when I walked out that house, that's how I felt. So even if I didn't necessarily say I was the skinniest kid and I wasn't diesel and I had glasses and braces, I felt like I was the best in the world. It didn't matter my skin color. It didn't matter whether I was fat, skinny, braces, not glasses. I had, I've been called everything to 4 eyes, to magnetic mouth, to you name it. But it never bothered me.
It didn't bother you?
It never bothered me because I always had those people behind me that pushed me and told me I was great. Even my cousins. And my cousins used to pick on me all the time, right? But when it came down to it, they always supported. They always pushed. And we always pushed each other. So to this lady, I know it's difficult being a young minority or young black child in a predominantly white school. I know that's very difficult because our kids have to go through it. Gia and I had to go through it too, but it seems like times are worse now. When it seems like times should be better.
Times are worse now than when we went through it with Madison and Logan?
No, than when we went through it with me and you.
Oh, when we were kids. Okay.
Yeah, because our high school was predominantly white.
Yes, but I didn't, in our high school, I didn't feel a segregation.
That's why I said it's worse now.
Yes.
You know, you explain a little bit. I'm going to turn up the heat because for some reason I'm chilly. I don't know what the hell's going on. Usually you're cold.
No, you continue. I'll turn up the heat.
All right, gotta turn up the heat. So when it came down to it, I would tell you this. I do feel like times are worse now. When Gia and I went to St. Francis Prep in Queens, which is a predominantly white school. We had sections of pockets of things. You know, there was an Italian table, there was a black table, a Guyanese table, Filipino table.
Yes.
It was so many different tables, but it just didn't seem as bad. And with our kids, I see it being a lot worse.
And it's funny the way that you just described it made it seem as though it was segregated, and technically, I guess it was, but that wasn't the sentiment behind it.
No,
it didn't feel segregated. Like everybody was cool, but when it came to the cafeteria, like the football kids sat together,
right?
Like all the black kids sat together, the
right.
Philippine, like. It was technically, if you go by the definition of the word, segregated in a sense, but everybody was cool. Everybody was nice. Everybody got along and laughed and joked in the hallways and hung out outside of school and whatnot. So it was cool. Now it just seems as though like racism and segregation and discrimination.
Keep talking, I'm putting on a sweatshirt.
And prejudice is at a fever pitch. And I don't necessarily know what the reason is for it. I know a big part of the reason, in my opinion, is our leaders seem to have that frame of mind. You know, our president
Absolutely.
is Trump, and it seems to make racism okay. It seems to make racism acceptable.
Absolutely.
It makes it seem as though it's an okay thing, or as though it's the norm. And right now it feels as though what people used to keep as private talk within their homes, or what I call kitchen table talk, now it's okay to bring it to the forefront. Now it's okay to say in public and to make jokes about and to use it as hurtful speech against, you know, people that are different than us in public. Now it's not a private thing. I think that he's made it okay. Even sexism is now more normalized. You know, the whole grab him by the bleep. And he still is able to be voted into the presidency.
Right.
It is obnoxious. And it's also almost unbelievable. It's almost unbelievable. So you talk about a shift. I think that has a lot to do with the shift in the past couple of years. But as a whole, in our country, I just think that so many things, not just race wars, are on the decline. It just seems like we're kind of going to hell in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Things don't feel as though they're getting better. It feels as though everything is getting worse.
Absolutely.
Which is why it's so important to take care of our homes, to take care of our kids, and to teach them, to guide them, to lead them, to be leaders and to think for themselves and have morals and have pride, and not the bad kind of pride, but to be proud of who they are and who they were raised to be.
Absolutely. And that I want to cut you off because I want to do this in our family a little more. And I think you should do this, young lady who emailed us. And I think everybody should do this. Our kids are beautiful mutts. That's what I love to call them, right?
Okay.
The reason I say beautiful mutts is because they're mixed with so many different things. There's a little bit of a little bit of everything. You know, of course, I'm full African American. I'm full black. Gia has a little bit of everything. She's Jamaican. She's Chinese. She's Puerto Rican. And there's one more I always forget. And a little bit of Scottish. Madison and Logan know so much about our backgrounds, you know so much about their history as far as a lot of the black side. You know, that's from my parents, and just tell them where they came from and all that. And it gives them a sense of pride because they know where they came from.
Okay.
I want to teach them and take them to where they're from everywhere. Like, I want to take our kids to Jamaica and let them experience Jamaica a little bit. I want to take them to China, you know, and let them experience that, and take them to Puerto Rico and let them experience that, and be able to hear stories of how their dad was growing up.
Right. Their grandfather, you mean?
Their grandfather. You know, they got to hear stories of their grandparents and their grandmother and what their grandmother had to deal with.
You mean on your side?
On my side. And I want to, you know, it's difficult for your mom because your mom has dementia, so we have to teach them what we know.
And my father passed away when I was 19.
But
so.
I want to find that stuff out, find those pictures and let them learn so they can be absolutely positively proud. So, you know, in your case, when they go to school and somebody says you look like poop, they pretty much say, fuck you. Because I know my history. I know where I came from. I know what makes me proud. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's what we were able to do with our kids. And we're able to stand on that so much and teach them their history. And it doesn't matter, you know, if you're listening and you are white, and you're listening and you are Jewish, and you're listening and you're Puerto Rican, and you're Dominican, and you're Haitian, and you're Jamaican. Make sure your kids know their history. And is proud of their history. Tell them why they should be proud.
Okay. So I agree.
Okay.
So in your response to the email, basically, to sum it up, I would say that you're saying teach them their history.
Yes. And continue
and encourage them. Make sure that they're proud of who they are and where they come from.
Absolutely.
Educate them.
Yes.
And fill them up with love.
Yes.
Okay. I think that that's the first step.
Okay.
However, I don't know.
Oh, you got to go check. Go ahead. Because she got to go to their school and go check that little girl and check that little girl's parents. And you got to have.
I don't think it's just one little girl.
He has a friend saying all the kids hate me because I'm black. Following that, he said he's been told by the kids that all
the kids,
the bad guys, are black and their skin looks. Okay, yeah, you got to go check their class.
Yeah. Okay. So the mother can obviously go and complain. Make the teacher and the principal aware of what's going on.
They got to be more than complain.
What do you suggest?
I mean, I don't know how this can happen, but I think, first of all, we have a problem. I have to go. Yeah, I do have to go to the school. But for that class, we need to bring somebody in there that's going to talk to these kids about different backgrounds. That's why I like with our kids, they have International Day, right? And I think we need to do that more, where it's so many kids get to talk about their different cultures.
Yes, our babies, London and Brooklyn just had International Day at their school, where they celebrate all of the backgrounds of all of the kids in the class. They dress up in their native garbs, and they bring in foods from, you know, their backgrounds, their heritages. So, you know, London and Brooklyn brought in all types of different foods because we have so many different things.
They brought in empanadas. They brought in
we didn't bring in empanadas.
West Indian food. They brought in jerk chicken and white rice.
We brought in flan. We brought in beef patties. Right. We brought in paella. Like, we brought in all different types of foods for them.
Correct.
But they dress up and they go on the stage, and then all the parents come, and, you know, there's Italian, so there's lasagna, and there's Asian, so there was dumplings. There's all types of different things. So all the kids and the parents go and they eat all the food. And it's nice because at a young age, you're kind of teaching children unity. And although we're all different, it's beautiful, and we can share our heritage with one another. Like, we're all one. That's nice.
Let me cut you off about this school and to this lady. One of the worst mistakes that I made is feeling like I wasn't sure if I didn't like the school or not, and not transferring the kids out.
What are you talking about?
Our kids were in a school near our home.
Okay.
And we took them out of that school and put them to a school that was out of the way a little bit.
Right.
That was the best decision, I think, that we made for London and Brooklyn.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Go ahead.
The reason being is the school near our home was predominantly white, but the teachers were predominantly white. The teachers were all white. Yeah. They were about 90% white.
At the very least, they seem white, right?
The new school, which we brought him to, is still predominantly white.
But it has so much more diversity amongst the students
staff,
and the teachers.
The staff is diverse.
Oh, yes.
Like there is Spanish, Muslim, African American. There is,
Caucasian. There's
so many different faces. I don't even know what they are.
Yes.
But I love it because it's a different way. And it makes me really, really like that school so much better.
I just love their school, period. And everyone there is amazing. But yes, to me, it's just more beautiful.
Correct.
And it's more nurturing for your children when they get to experience diversity, because it inadvertently teaches them sensitivity.
Correct.
And it teaches them wisdom at a younger age. And it unfolds that way when you are in a class with kids from different backgrounds, and their parents come and they're from different backgrounds, and the parents come and they're nice to you and they say hi. You just you develop a sensitivity and an understanding, and that becomes your normal. And with Madison and Logan, they didn't have as much of an advantage. Really, all that they saw was Caucasian.
Correct.
Because really, that's our town.
Right.
That's our town. There might be a little drop here,
sprinkle
or
here,
drop
sprinkle there, right?
Of others, and we're others, right? Our kids are others. There might be a handful, literally a handful in the entire school,
right?
And that's not good for them, and that's not good for Caucasian kids either.
Right.
That's not good for any kids.
Nobody at all.
Being in an environment where your own is all that you see. I don't think, this is just my opinion, I don't think that that's the best way to raise children. Can great children come out of those environments? Of course. But I think that there is a better way. So now when you're responding to this email, yes, of course, we all know it starts in the home. We say that too. It starts in the home. And that's true. But let me tell you what I can't stand.
What's that, baby?
I can't stand giving a general answer, a blanket answer, a blanket opinion about everything. I like to think about reality and what really flies and what really works.
Okay.
And in my opinion, you teach your children to be proud. You educate them about where they came from. Wonderful.
Correct.
So she can do that with her son. So he's supposed to go to school with this armor of pride.
Right.
He's a little kid.
1 year old. Probably.
No, he's not.
He's in the first grade. So he's
in the first grade. So what's that?
He's six,
7,
6 or 7.
Six, probably. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's where it starts.
Correct.
That's the seed. That, in my opinion, in most cases, of course, there's exceptions to everything. Nothing's absolute, right? But that's not going to work. That child is going to go to school, even if the school does its due diligence and brings in someone or people or a team or have programs to promote unity and acceptance and all of that great thing, all those great things. Yeah, like that'd be great. But racism is learned in the home. Okay. And I think that it also may come by way of nature as well. Maybe I can see it being a human being's natural way to be afraid or standoffish when they see something that is different than them.
Right.
So some of it is nature. And I think the greater part of it comes in the home. If you see your parents around a diverse group of people, then that becomes your normal. If you yourself are around a diverse group of people, that becomes your normal. But if you're at home and all you see is people that looks like you, that's your parents, not making it their business to expose you. Or if they can't really expose you because maybe that's just not their world, they don't take opportunities to teach you acceptance and that everyone is equal. When they see something on TV, they don't pause it, or they don't, stop and say, hey, look at this child. This child looks different than you. What do you think about that? They don't take those opportunities to educate their kids. That's a problem. That's a problem. So that's what I mean by it starts in the home. I'm not necessarily saying that, and I do think this is the case in some situations, but I'm not necessarily saying that, kids are, walking through their living room and hear their parents using racial slurs, even though I know that does happen on both sides. And I'm not just talking about white people. I'm talking about black people. I'm talking about Muslim people. I'm talking about white people. I'm talking about everybody. I've been in situations where I've been in other people's homes and you hear racist statements. I was on the plane yesterday and someone we were talking to made an overtly racist statement and thought that it was okay. A stranger that was sitting near us and thought it was okay. Racism has kind of been normalized, and I find that parents aren't doing what they need to do in their homes to make sure that they're not raising racist children.
Correct.
So yes, it does start in the home, but sometimes it's more than that. We have to do more than that. In this situation with the emailer, if this little boy is the only black child in the class or one of them, and he's being targeted to a point where he comes home and he's hurt because of what children are telling him and how they are making him feel day to day, that negative seed has already been planted. So now the poor child has to be deprogrammed.
Correct.
And what you suggested has to be implemented more strongly if it hasn't already been implemented. That's number one. Number two, and this is my opinion, and I am not someone that suggests running from a problem. I believe in tackling problems head on.
Correct.
I believe in being strong. I believe in standing up to bullies. I believe in all of that wholeheartedly. But when I'm talking about my 6-year-old child who's being targeted at a school and it's hurting his self-esteem, now he's insecure. He feels as though all black people are bad because that's what he's being told.
Right.
You can't be untold those things.
Right.
You can't unfeel those feelings. Those seeds of negativity have already been planted, and now he needs to be reversed out of that situation. So I'm not going to lie. My only concern, my only priority in her situation would be my son and to make sure that he feels differently. Jackson's 4. And if in 2 years he was experiencing that, I would take him out of the school. And I would make sure that he got put into a school that was diverse and that there were a lot more people that looked like him so that he would understand this is normal.
That might be difficult.
This is the real world.
That might be real difficult.
And this is okay.
But
and I am beautiful and my peers are beautiful.
That's easy to say. And
what do you mean that's easy to say?
Because even with us, right? It would be difficult to put any one of our kids into a school that there are more minorities and more black kids, more Spanish kids. It would be difficult because of the area we live. It would be almost impossible.
It wouldn't be almost impossible. That's an exaggeration. It would be difficult.
Difficult, correct.
Because that would mean that we would have to get up and drive outside of probably what's comfortable for us every day to bring them to a school that's more suitable for them. But if our kids were experiencing what this child was experiencing, damn right I would do it. Because the only thing that would matter to me would be the emotional stability and self-esteem of my child.
Right.
Listen, there were things that I experienced as a young teenager in high school that changed me.
Right.
That changed me. There was things that I saw, personalities that I experienced that shaped how I moved through the world, that shaped my opinions, my thoughts and feelings about a lot of different things. I may view people and situations differently because of people that I experienced in high school. I know and are acquainted with girls that were bullied, picked on, made to feel inadequate in high school that grew up. And I mean, these are good people that grew up as inadequate adults because of not being popular in high school, being made fun of in high school, people picking on the way that they looked. Meanwhile, they damn well looked fine.
Right, absolutely.
But those are scars. And what we experience when we're little and when we're teenagers, it really shapes the kind of adults that we become. And listen, nobody can tell me any different. Some people are able to break those chains and to get away from it or somehow live their way out of it, or maybe they have other experiences that counteract what they experienced earlier on in life. Some people are lucky, but most people, you go through life like dominoes. One hits the other and it hits the other and it hits the other.
Absolutely.
And you just move forward in a particular direction. And it's not too many people can veer from that direction. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So if you see that your child is experiencing something in their early years, you go to the store and you buy a new set of dominoes. Mm-hmm. You redirect that if you can, because listen, if you don't, the results could be devastating. Like, this child can be ruined if he's not redirected. And he can go through his whole life thinking that he's not good enough. Right. He's not smart enough. He's not attractive enough, and I'm just going to say it, that white people are better than him. Mm-hmm. He can literally feel that way. White people are better than me. Right. Because those seeds have been planted. Right. So personally, I don't really feel that any specialist, that would be a great step for the school to take, but I don't think that any specialist can come in and change how that kid is feeling. Right. So I would take him out of the school. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think we kind of try to hit every angle of that and keep us posted, because I would love to know what happens and what you do and how it's working out.
Yes.
Now, we were supposed to talk about something, but we're already an hour in.
You can't do that.
Yes, we can. We could tease until the next, if that's okay with you.
I don't like teasing. You're in this teasing business. I don't like teasing.
Teasing is work, because people look forward to it to the next podcast. We're already an hour in, so that's going to.
So are we going to finish the conversation?
No.
So now we can't even have the conversation until next week?
Until next week, yes.
Shane,
next week is a couple days. It's 3 days.
Okay. 3 days. It's not as bad because today is Saturday.
Right. So
when is this going to drop? Today? Or?
I'm going to try to get it out today.
Okay.
All right. So we'll just tell you the next podcast, we're going to talk about prostitution. And not sex trafficking. That's totally different. We're going to talk about prostitution, people paying for hand jobs and head and
sex,
pussy. Yes.
Come on, Rashawn.
We're going to talk about that next episode. All right. So we'll talk about it because, we both feel differently about things.
Do we feel differently?
Maybe.
We didn't finish the conversation, so I don't even know.
And Gia understands a couple of things that I was surprised that she actually understands.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we'll talk about it our next podcast. And also I want to tell you guys that, a lot of people have been hitting us and, been sending prayers. Gia and I, we did the in vitro thing. They shot the baby in her last week and a half.
On.
So we will know this week if the baby took or not. My explanation is crazy. They get it. They understand.
If the baby took or not.
If she's pregnant or not.
So on Monday, I find out if I'm pregnant or not.
So we'll let you guys know on the next podcast.
That's the long and short of it.
So pray for us and hopefully that you are pregnant.
Yes. Yes. Please keep us in your prayers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. It's time to get up out of here. I'm going to the gym. Gia's going to get ready. Mm-hmm. And thank you guys for riding with us and supporting. We really, really appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. Well, I was about to say I'm Gia Casey.
Really?
I'm DJ Envy.
And I am Gia Casey.
And that was another edition of the Casey Crew.
Doodles.